Hello, welcome back to the Unfoldlearning Podcast and welcome to yet another check-in video. Good morning, everyone. It's a weekend and we are here at Unfoldlearning Podcast to check in. This is a space where we talk about, or rather, where I would want to talk about a few things that I'm thinking, few questions that are there which I would want to surface. So, something that I wanted to really bring out and talk about is about routines. Be rest assured, I'm not going to talk about why a routine is important, why a morning routine is important, why an evening routine is important. Well, there are a lot of videos and some good content out there on YouTube which essentially talks about why routines are important, right? But I wanted to talk about is why I fail with my routines, right? I think that is something that has been extremely pertinent. To be honest with you, I have outlined a lot of routines, quite a few routines, but essentially, if you ask me, have I been successful with any of those routines? Um, no. I have failed time and again with my routines, with my things to do. And I don't know if you would resonate with this or not. But if you do, stay tuned because I just thought that I'm going to share, where the real struggle is. I don't think a lot many people talk about this or even acknowledge this. It is essentially made about discipline, consistency, habit, etc. Well, let me tell you, I am a very disciplined person. I am a very consistent person. But this is one aspect where I have really failed, and I'm trying to figure out like what is it that doesn't really click or did not really click with my routines. So back when I started my journey, I started to have my timetables, things to do, etc. But it just didn't click. I did not find anything that would help me to understand that why am I really failing with it. Either it went on the direction of procrastination or lack of discipline, but somewhere down the line I believed that it is not about that. There is something that is really playing out, which is out there, but nobody is trying to see that, or nobody is trying to call that out, or rather I am not able to see that for myself. The day when I missed it, the day I couldn't abide by the time, or a day when I slept over by 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and when I couldn't do what I had intended to do with my routine and the time with it, it started to feel very overwhelming. Like I was feeling that burden, and there was that sense of guilt. And slowly it started to pressurize, and of course I started to demotivate myself. Like I was getting very demotivated, and eventually it was like I can't do it. And the other feeling was also like while I was trying to be consistent with it, I just felt like, am I ticking off a checklist or what? Like, is my life becoming about checklist? And that was kind of my pain with routines. Honest, like I was saying, it was not about really managing, but it was about putting myself into a rhythm. Things like working out, things like reading a book. I think with time there are excuses that comes in, like, oh, I'm working for about 12 to 14 hours, I don't have time, how do we do it, etc. So that's the dilemma, right? That's where I got stuck, and I was like, hey, what is really wrong? So after a lot of contemplation, after a lot of like, what to do, what not to do, how to do it, um, there were some positives as well. I think one of the positive that I could call out for myself was that um, every time I failed with a particular routine, I was up again with a new routine. And it was kind of funny. That in itself became like a routine. Like you try one method, it doesn't work, you try the other, it doesn't work, you try the other, and keep trying, right? And that is where my first learning came in. And the first learning that unfolded was that when I think of routines, am I thinking of a process? and how committed I am to engage with that process. I think that was the key, because when you engage yourself and commit to engage in a process, you need to see it through. And probably I was not seeing it through. I think that was my first learning. Second learning that I had was that I was trying to imitate a lot. Well, I know imitation is the first form of learning, that makes sense. But I think I was trying to imitate the context as well, like what others are doing, what routines others are following. I was trying to bring it into my context, and I have failed with that because it doesn't work like that. Another learning that I have, and let me share that with you once I reach back home. And let's actually talk here because it's a good morning, right? Third learning that I had was I need to ensure that the routines that I have, they are essentially integrating with what I really, really want to do. Well, when I thought about that framework for myself, and there were the three things. One, is there an element of learning? Two, is there an element of creating? And three, is there an element of really showing and sharing? Right? These three became my top three categories, aligned to which the different actions started to surface, which then defined how my routines should look like. So, for example, when it was about learning, what is that new learning that I can have? And for me, what are those avenues to learn from? It could be LinkedIn, it could be research, it could be resources, white papers, etc. Then the aspect of creating, like what is it that I can create that can help? And for me, it was about the content. It was about what am I learning? Can I process it? And can I really, put it out in terms of creating something simpler, creating something actionable that will make others feel that they have something to think about or something to do about. And essentially, the last part was how can I really share or show? Right? And that's where the journey of YouTube also began. So in a summary, for me, the routine became about when I wake up in the morning, do I have something where I can learn? Do I have something where I can create? And do I have something where I can show? Right? And it was not about checklist. It was not about, putting time, striking off. There were days where I could only focus on learning and not much of sharing and maybe doing something or creating something, but that was okay. And I think I'm not saying that this is the right way to do things or this is the only way to do things. You should also do these things. No, what I'm saying is that this is what worked for me. What worked was to identify what really matters to me, and basis that, what are the key actions that I would like to prioritize. I'm on my journey. I am not saying that I'm perfect, but this seems like this aspect of routines and looking at routines is kind of working. So if this made sense, if you are there till now, you know what to do, you know the drill. Subscribe to the Unfoldlearning Podcast. New episode is coming soon. It's going to be about how do you decode others' behavior. It's going to be very interesting. So till that time, stay tuned and thank you for being there.